In this video, we are going to talk about dimensional analysis, which is just a fancy way of saying changing units. So that's like when we go to centimeters to inches, feet to yards, miles to feet, days to weeks, months to years. So we will be starting with one unit and trying to change to another to see what that unit equals in a different term. So how many inches is 1.5 centimeters? And so on. So before we begin, we are going to look at the formula for dimensional analysis. So our formula is known. So our known units. This is going to be the number they give us to start with in the question. So if the question is, how many centimeters is 1.5 inch? That 1.5 inch that they give us is going to be that known unit. Our next part of your equation, so we have our known units and it's times our new units divided by our old units in parentheses. This is our conversion factor. So you're either going to get a conversion list or the question might even give you conversions. But this is where it's going to be like 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. It's going to tell you what something equals to something else. So that is what you're going to use to be able to get from the units that they're giving you to start with to what they're asking you for. And so what they're asking you for is going to be your answer. And so they're going to ask for two types of units. Your known units and your old units are going to be the same. So if they're give you the feet to start with, those are both going to be feet. And then your new units and your answer are going to be the same. So you always want what you want up at the top. And what you have at the bottom. So now we're going to look at this formula in terms of an actual question. So our first question is how many centimeters are in 47 inches? So that's the question, and then they give us a conversion factor, which is 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. So we're going to break this down to put this question into our formula so that way we can find our answer. So our known up here in our original equation, we said is the number they give us to start with in the question. So in the question, how many centimeters are in 47 inches? This 47 inches is that number that they give us to start with. So we're going to put that first, our 47 inches. Our next part of our equation that we have is our conversion factor. So our new units over our old units. So I'm going to draw parentheses and a line down the middle. And so our conversion factor that they give us is 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. So what we're supposed to do with those numbers is figure out where we're going to put them in the equation to get our answer, our units. And so in the question, they tell us we are looking for centimeters. And so our answer has to be in centimeters. And so in the equation above, we said that our new units has to match the units of our answer. So what's up top is what we want. And since we want centimeters, we want to figure out how many centimeters we have, how many centimeters 47 inches equals, we're going to put the centimeters up top. And because our old units are going to be the same as our known, that's what they originally gave us to start with. Our known is inches. We're going to put inches on the bottom. So now that we know what unit goes where, we can put in the numbers. And we're going to use these numbers that they gave us in the conversion factor. So for centimeters, it's 2.54. And for inches, it is 1. So far, we have written our entire formula before we have found our answer. So they asked us how many centimeters are in 47 inches. We are looking for centimeters. That's what we want. And they give us 47 inches to start with. So we use those 47 inches as our known. And then to get it into centimeters, we use the conversion factor they gave us. 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. You put the units, your new units, or the units we want, centimeters, up top, and the units we started with, our old units, inches, on the bottom. So all that we have left to do is calculate the question, or the math, the formula. We have to calculate the formula. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the top, divide by the bottom. So multiply top to divide bottom. So we can do 47 times 2.54. So multiply the top and then divide that answer by 1. So if we put that in our calculator, we get 109.4 centimeters. So our last step in these questions is, does this answer make sense? So what do I mean by that? Well, does 119.4 centimeters make sense if we started with 47 inches? Well, if you think about it, in 1 inch, we have 2.54 centimeters. And so that's almost double, or that's more than double, what we have in inches. So if we have 47 inches, our centimeters is going to have to be more than double, about 2.5 times what we have in inches. And 109.4 centimeters is more than double 47. So yes, this answer makes sense. So our next question we are going to look at is, we are going to convert 60 minutes to days. So we can start out by labeling our question. So the number that they give us is 60 minutes. That's going to be our known. And then what they are asking us to find is the number of days. So this is going to be our answer. So let's look at our conversions. We have a list of conversions to see how we are going to start this. So if I find the 60 minutes, the conversion for minutes, it is 60 minutes equals 1 hour. Well, 1 hour is definitely not a day. So we can't get directly 2 days from minutes using 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So let's find our hour conversion. So we started with minutes and it gave us an hour. How about hours? Is that going to give us days? Well, if we look at our conversion with hours, it does give us a day. So instead of just using one conversion like we did in the last question, we have to use 2, because the conversion for minutes doesn't give us days, it gives us hours. But if we find the conversion for hours, it does give us a day. So let's start by writing our known from the question that they gave us. So our known is 60 minutes. Our known is 60 minutes because that's the number they gave us in our question. And then we need to do our conversion. So first, because we have minutes, we're going to have to put the minutes conversion first. And so I'm going to draw my parentheses. We have to do our minutes conversion first, right? We can't automatically put 24 hours equals 1 day because we don't have those units yet. So we have to start with our minutes conversion. So our old units are going to match what units are our known. So our units for our known are minutes, which means we also have to put minutes at the bottom. And the other units in our conversion is hours, so we're going to put that one up top. Hours. And then now we just have to put the numbers that were with them in the equation. So there was a 1 in that conversion factor with the hour, and there was a 60 with the minutes. Are we done? No, we are not. So at this point, you can stop here and we can find the answer for part 1 before we convert hours to days. So all you would do is 60 times 1, which would be 60, divided by 60, which would just give you 1. So we could just stop right here and it would give us 1 hour. And then we could do the same thing that we just did. So these now become our known units, that 1 hour. So we're going to put that 1 hour. And then our next conversion is hours to days. So our old units are supposed to match our known. So we're going to put those hours on the bottom. And our new units is days because that's what they want us to put 60 minutes in. So now we're just going to put the numbers that are in the conversion with those units. So 1 goes on top, 24 goes on the bottom. So we're just going to put this in the calculator, do 1 times 1, which is 1, divided by 24, which is going to give us 0.04 days. This is our final answer. So we started with minutes, and our minutes conversion gave us an hour, not days. So we first had to convert to hours, and then we used the number of hours we got and our hours conversion to get us 2 days. And that's our final answer. So does it make sense that 60 minutes is 0.04 days? Well, yes, because 60 minutes is a very, very, very small portion of 1 whole day. So we can't fit a whole day in 60 minutes. We can only fit part of a day into 60 minutes because a day is much bigger than a minute. So this is one way you could do this conversion right here. You do your minutes conversion first, find your answer, and then your hours conversion second, and then find your final answer. But there is another more efficient way that we can actually solve this question. So after we use our minutes conversion to get it into hours, we can go directly to using our hours conversion, right? Because before we had our hours become our old units, which would be at the bottom. And then our days become our top units, which is our new units. So instead of doing two separate, we can just put this entire conversion up here. So it would look like our hours on the bottom, because that's our old unit now, and our days on top, because that's our new unit that we want to get to. So instead of doing two separate equations, we can just put it into one to get our answer. So we started with 60, we did our minutes conversion. So our minutes to hours. And then we did our hours to days conversion. We can just put that back to back. And the easiest way to check to make sure that you lined it up all correctly is you can cancel out your units. So your minutes should cancel out. Your hours should cancel out. So they cancel out when you have one up top, one on the bottom. And then you're left with just days, which we said was 0.04 days. So just like a quick recap of dimensional analysis. They're going to give you a question. So in that question, you're going to use the formula that they gave us to pick out the parts. So you're going to pick out your known, and you're going to pick out what they want to give us, or what they want us to put the answer in. And then you're going to use a unit conversion to help you get from your known to your unknown. And make sure your units match. When you're done using your unit, you have to ask yourself, or your unit conversion, you have to ask yourself, does this answer make sense? Like, are we going from small to big, big to small? Does that answer make sense for what we're doing? If you have a conversion, like in the second example we did, where if you go from one to the other, but there's not a conversion for it, you might have to use more than one. So in the question, convert 60 minutes to days, find your first conversion.